Hey guys, Scott here again with a new beer video. I'm going to be changing things up once again. I'm going to be having, I like to keep things kind of fluid and keep this YouTube channel and my Facebook friends, kind of on your toes, I guess. I've been doing a lot of videos on beer styles and the history, and you can take a look at that. But I think I'm going to be starting to do a series basically reviewing beer, or I'm going to be calling it like beer dissection or dissecting beer. Am I the first one to ever do this? No, there's a lot of guys out there that are doing this, and I probably watch them, or I follow them on YouTube myself. But it's kind of, I'll be taking beers from, macro breweries, like Sam Adams, and it could even be Budweiser. And I'm going to kind of go through, my take on it, my opinions on it. And again, it's only my opinion. You form your own opinions if you try these styles of beers. I'm going to be doing some local breweries, and today one of my local beers that I'm going to be reviewing here first. And we'll just see how it all goes, okay? I do have other things up my sleeve to try to plan, down the road, but again, so this will be kind of dissecting beer or beer dissection. I'll try not to repeat that on every video. If you haven't already and you're enjoying these videos, please, subscribe, to the channel and hit that little bell to get some notifications. I appreciate it. Those of you know what I've been going through. It's always fun to interact with people watching the video, since this is still, even though beer isn't necessarily a brand new thing for me, but it's, doing a channel like this is, like fish out of water. So what we're going to be doing today, and the first beer I have is from Westhampton Beach Brewery, right down the road. Those of you who are local watching this, and it's called their Winter Cranbeary beer. And they have like a nice kitschy little bear on the cover of it. Okay, it's a 5.7% Belgian style ale. I'm expecting when I have this is going to be kind of, when you say a Belgian style, and I think of cranberry, I think of Belgian lambics or fruited lambics. You may have heard of Kriek, K-R. I may be mixing up the I-E-I-E-K, or it's E-I-K, sorry, which is a cherry lambic. Remember, lambics and goose, which I haven't really covered on my YouTube channel yet, are more sour, acidic type beers. I'm not going to go through the whole history of that right now. We'll save that when I actually have a true Belgian lambic in front of me. But I'm expecting, since this is fruited with cranberry, that it may be something like a Kriek or Framboise, which is raspberry. I'm not a French major either, but it's raspberry or Flemish. I guess it's also Flemish and French. So if you see those in the store. So I'm expecting this is going to be something along those styles, or if it's a Belgian style, also it could be like a golden strong ale, things like that. The other thing before we dive in, I'll crack open this beer, is, with the lambics or the fruited lambics you get in the store, you may see Lindemans. Lambics and fruited lambics are usually fruited in one of three ways I know off the top of my head. One is that actually after primary fermentation of the beer, they'll stick it on top of a bed of fruit in a secondary fermenter to get some of the flavor components from it. And a lot of times they call that oud, O-U-D-E, which is more like traditional, if I'm getting the translation correct. Sometimes they'll put fruit juices or pulverized fruit or, crushed fruit into it. And then sometimes they'll back sweeten it, which I believe Lindemans does a lot of, that you may see in your Belgian section, which they'll put a lot of, sugary fruit juices in it. I don't prefer that one as much. It's a little bit cloying sweetness, but okay, so what we have here, like I said, we have Westhampton Beach. Westhampton Beach Brewery, I think they opened up about 7 years ago. I got this actually delivered last week. It doesn't have a canning date on there, and people will be yelling at me, you did a canning, because I know this came especially fresh right from the brewery last week. So I have no doubt that this is going to be a fresh can. But you do, a lot of your lambics that you're going to get, though, fruited lambics in the store, they've been probably, or just by lambic or goose in general, is going to be at 2 or 3 years old, but you don't necessarily want that here. But so Westhampton Beach Brewery is one of the longer established breweries, about, I guess, 10 miles from me. And their little niche market is they kind of have that beach theme to a lot of their beers. And like Morich's Field down the road is more of a aviator flying. It was an old air hangar, I believe. So they have their little niche market. So what I'm going to do is I'll pour this into my nice oversized, if you want to call this kind of a pseudo tulip glass. With these type of styles, I would go with something. You see me use this glass a lot. I have my smaller, oversized snifter tulip glass that I use. And then while I have it here, I got my Spigler glass. Okay. I usually use more for my IPAs. Okay, so Belgian style ale cranberry. It's made with, it says made with cranberry and honey. Okay, so I'm expecting to get a lot of sweetness from that. So let me open this up. And I'm going to pour this bad boy in here. And again, when you're tasting it the first time, again, you don't have... These are going to be my opinions and things that I do, but you could do your own thing, all right? I want you to just enjoy whatever beer you're drinking. So I've got this one here. We can take a look at the color. So immediately, I usually like to look at the color and the clarity. I mean, this is pretty clear. I mean, especially for something that's kind of simulating, you know, maybe possibly a lambic style. I haven't spoken to the brewers or owners about it specifically, but there's a slight chill haze, but you know, there is a nice deep gold color. It's very attractive looking. I mean, you have, you know, I didn't pour it too aggressively, so right now we have a nice white head, you know, pretty open bubbles here. Yeah, so when I get a sniff of it, yeah, I definitely get that, you know, kind of dank, you know, fresh cranberry. And again, I don't know what type of cranberry they use in this particular one. They could have used fresh cranberries. Maybe they'll chime in underneath this board if they do watch this. I don't know if it's back sweetened at all. I'll know when I taste it if they really back sweetened it. Remember, back sweetened is after the beer is kind of done, and before packaging, they'll kind of sweeten it with like more of like a cranberry juice, but. It's definitely not smelling like you're opening up a can of cranberry juice, which I don't particularly would want that anyway. You got a nice, subtle, you know, cranberry aroma. I can smell the sweetness of the honey. And there's probably like a water cracker, light toast, you know, malt aroma. Again, I'm presuming they're probably using either Pilsner or a Pilsner malt or maybe a two-row malt of some sort. Okay. You know, no peppery phenols that sometimes you'll get with certain Belgian beers. A little estery, you know, so you're getting that fruit in there. You know, so I'm going to just take a sip. Wow. You get immediately blasted with a nice cranberry and just subtle sweetness. This is not a cloying beer, which is good. That's the one thing I do not like about Lindemann's. It gets very sweet. This has just enough sweetness to it. If you let it sit there, the honey will hit you a little bit, and the sweetness from there. So you kind of get, and the cranberry lingers, kind of like, I don't want to say an old cranberry because that usually gets a negative connotation. Kind of a nice, subdued cranberry hit. And then with that sweetness of the honey, just mild bitterness. Bitterness wouldn't be very, and hops, a dominant thing in this style of beer anyway, if I'm getting it right. Because again, when I say getting it right, you know, I haven't spoken to the brewers, so I don't know. There's a little bit of, I get a little orange, like a slight hint of orange on the back end, almost like it would be a triple. Not as strong as that. A triple, you know, I have a Belgian triple video out there if you want to go into that. But it has a nice, it drinks very clean. It's only about 5.7%. And it has that nice, you know, burst of carbonation that you would get with a lot of Belgian ales. Maybe not as carbonated as a Duvel. Belgian Golden Strong Ale. You may see it looks like a Pilsner beer, but it really hits you if some of you have had that before. Or Delirium Tremens. Okay, it doesn't hit you like that, like a Belgian ale, but this kind of gives me like a hybrid between a lambic, like a fruited lambic, because of the orange, a little bit of like a triple, a Belgian triple, and then that I could see I think I did see somewhere that they felt it was a little bit more like a Belgian Golden Strong. I don't get that as much, maybe with the honey kind of flavors. Sometimes in those, you'll get like a citrusy honey flavor. But this is, again, let me show you the color again. It's very attractive beer. And again, you're not blown away by the cranberry, but it's definitely there. Something like this, if I was pairing, it'd be a perfect Thanksgiving just passed here. While I'm recording this video, something for Thanksgiving, you think of your cranberry, because it has a subtle tartness to it. So I think it would complement, even if it's not Thanksgiving, like roasted chicken dishes, potatoes. Think of it like the cranberry sauce. I wouldn't use this for like dessert pairings. Lindemann's actually, the sweeter fruited lambics probably would do a little bit better pairing with like chocolate and fruit dishes. This I don't get a lot of sweetness. However, I would keep this away if you did want to use it for something like that. It would still be okay with some chocolate dishes. I would stay away from really sweet though desserts if you were going to use it for a dessert beer, like because sometimes the real sweetness can overpower something like this and make this seem very flat. But it's a very refreshing for myself, just a little bit more. I'll kind of go through a couple things. So again, here's the color. I don't want to say perfectly clear because there's some chill haze, which is normal. Get that with some of the proteins in beer. You may get with a lot of beers. And again, I don't know the grist. The grist is like the grains and stuff that they use in the beer. So maybe they use a little wheat, possibly. But again, nice, very pleasant, subdued cranberry, honey. I get a little estery on the aroma again. Cracker, maybe malt profile there. Again, no real phenols like a typical. I don't get much. Take that back. Probably just some very mild peppery phenols. And again, I'm presuming they may be using some Belgian yeast that's giving that. A lot of Belgian beers are yeast dominant. You'll get phenols and esters, and different than your IPAs, which are hop dominant, and then some of your English ales that are malt dominated with sweetness and stuff like that. So again, I believe they, some of our local places have this, but Westhampton Beach Winter Cranbeary. Okay, they do have a lot of kitschy names to their beers. Like kind of beach themed like that, Jetty 4, things like that. So I would definitely check this out. This is, and it's not going to overpower you with fruit. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to sit here and enjoy this last bit of beer here. Hopefully you guys, found that interesting, just kind of reviewing a beer and things I go through. But look at the color of the beer, the clarity, smell it. What does it remind you of things, and then taste it. But Westhampton Beach Winter Cranbeary, great with probably a lot of your white meat poultry dishes and things like that. All right, guys. If I was to give it a out of 5 ranking, I'd probably give it a 4, 4.25. I do put things on tap that may not even jive with that, but definitely something to check out if you like fruited beers and you like Belgian style beers. And it's not going to blow you away with tartness and sourness like a lot of goos and lambics will do to you, which again, I'll save that for another video. All right, guys, have a great day.